You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14.
Right now at 7, a car violently overturns, causing 3 people to be injured on Missouri 171.
And have you ever wanted to live in a jail? I don't know about that. Well, now may be your chance, as a jail in Missouri is up for sale.
And we have got an absolutely gorgeous but cloudy spring-like day for us today. But big changes are on the way. We are going to talk about all of that coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thanks for joining us for the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. Authorities say identifying the person found dead in Galena Monday might take longer than usual. The Kansas Bureau of Investigation says the body found Monday afternoon was the, quote, badly decomposed remains of a man, end quote. The body was in a field near 11th and Wood Street. Investigators say identification is expected to take longer than in typical cases due to the condition of the remains. They're not saying anything about a suspected cause of death. An autopsy is scheduled. A Jasper County, Missouri man learns his sentence for sexually abusing a 14-year-old. 41-year-old John Shutters of Joplin is sentenced to 2 consecutive 99-year terms in prison. He was originally charged with statutory sodomy and first-degree child molestation in 2020. A jury found Shutters guilty on 2 counts of statutory sodomy. And 3 people are receiving treatment for non-life-threatening injuries after a crash on Missouri 171 near the state line. Jasper and Crawford County authorities responded to the wreck after 3 p.m. Tuesday afternoon. Missouri State Highway Patrol says a car driving west went into the path of a car driving north, and 1 car overturned violently. MedFlight and Met's ambulance transported those injured to local hospitals. A dump truck spills its load of lime in a crash Tuesday morning, forcing authorities to close part of a highway in Newton County. Investigators say an SUV driving east on Norway Road failed to yield to the truck driving south on State Route H. The truck went off the road, overcorrected, and then overturned. Authorities blocked both lanes of Route H while crews cleaned up the mess. Both drivers had non-life-threatening injuries. Oklahoma voters next week will decide whether to legalize recreational marijuana in the state. Currently, marijuana is legal in Oklahoma only for medicinal use. To give residents a chance to learn more about the proposal, the city of Miami, Oklahoma hosted a town hall meeting on Tuesday. It featured a 6-person panel with people on both sides of the issue, including local physicians and law enforcement members. Supporters included the operator of dispensary, but some opponents believe the wording of the proposal leaves too many questions unanswered.
Maybe if we can work on it a little bit better, maybe if our legislators are willing to talk with us and answer some financial questions and how it's written, and that would be a better start. But I feel like I'm a no.
People able to try it out on recreational first, decide if they want to get their medical card for something a little stronger to get off opioids or something like that. I mean, that's what we're in it for.
That election takes place March 7th.
We've got a spring-like day for us today, but we have alert days as we head into Thursday and Friday for thunderstorms with heavy rain and flood watches. In fact, here's a look at those flood watches. Delaware, Benton, McDonald, Berry counties, all of them kick in tomorrow evening and run through noon on Friday. We're getting in on thunderstorm activity, heavy rain, and the heaviest rain along and south of I-44. We get into that 2 to 3 inch range, and that is obviously too much rain in too short of a time. We're also watching the possibility tomorrow in this dark green area of a strong storm or 2. Not anticipating really any severe weather, but some of the stronger storms may pack some small hail and some gusty winds as we head through tomorrow. Now we could see some late morning, early afternoon showers as we head into Thursday, kind of spread through the area, but the main event kicks off about 4 or 5 o'clock. You can see where the thunderstorms and heavier rain will be out there, and it will continue through the evening with a brief break around midnight or so before more showers, thunderstorms, heavy rain, and the possibility of light snow starts to make its way into the area. MoDOT camera 20th in range line looks good. Nice sunrise, even though there's some clouds out there in Joplin. 49 degrees with it feels like 47 with the west breeze at 7. 45 Iola, 50 Chitopa, 50 in Neosho, 51 in Miami. And as we get our day started, winds will start gusting 20 to 30 miles an hour. Will remain mostly cloudy and will make it up into the upper 50s by late morning. That's quick check of your forecast, Tanya.
All right. Thanks, Chris. Well, authorities rescued 41 dogs from a Newton County home. The Missouri Humane Society received a call from the Newton County Sheriff's Department to rescue the dogs from a residence on Iris Road. The owner realized she was no longer able to provide the necessary care for her beloved pets. She called the sheriff's office for help. The Humane Society found the dogs were not abused or neglected.
Like I said, it was strictly a matter of she had some dogs, they bred, before she knew it, they bred, and all of a sudden she had 40-some animals. It's hard to find a home for an individual, for an individual to find a home for animals like that.
Missouri Humane Society team took the animals to its headquarters in St. Louis. The dogs will receive medical treatment before being placed in foster homes or adoption centers. Looking for a unique home to set up some roots? How about a jail? This former jailhouse just hit the market. It's located in Harrisonville, Missouri, about 37 miles south of Kansas City. It can be all yours for about $195,000. Property sits on half an acre lot and boasts 34 cells complete with toilets and sinks, a fenced-in lot, and plenty of office space. The 1960s property reportedly passed inspection and is said to be built to last, making it a great place to settle in for a life sentence of living. You can check out Next Home Vibe Real Estate to make your plea for this unique opportunity. All right, well, coming up, Adavan Scrons from the K-State Extension Office is giving us details on an upcoming workshop regarding sheep and goats.
And later, a salon in Las Vegas is showing black women the beauty of their natural hair. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. One of the few remaining survivors of the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor has died. Jack Holder was 101 years old. Lindsay Regis has more.
It's a moment that stuck with Jack Holder for the rest of his life.
The first bomb that fell at Pearl Harbor dropped about 100 yards from me. It's something you never forget. And I think it's something you never forgive for. I certainly haven't.
Holder was 19 years old when he was transferred to Pearl Harbor in December 1940. A year later, the Japanese attacked the U.S. naval base.
Jack was on Ford Island during the attack on Pearl Harbor, and he was the most active Pearl Harbor survivor we had in Arizona.
Holder remembered that day vividly, including the pilot that missed him and his crewmates.
The helmet flapping in the breeze, his canopy was open. And he came in very low and slow.
Now his friends are remembering him, a Navy pilot during World War II and one of the last remaining survivors of Pearl Harbor.
But he was a good man. He meant well. He liked what he was doing. He understood the importance of representing that average GI who served during World War II, particularly the Pearl Harbor survivors.
Speaking to the public was one of many things Holder liked to do during retirement. Proud to share his experience in the Navy.
People call me a hero, but I don't consider myself a hero. When I joined the Navy, I signed an oath. I just tried to live up to it.
Incredible story. And here's what we're watching as we head into Thursday and Friday. Alert days for heavy rain and flooding. Flood watches for the counties in green kick in tomorrow evening, run through noon. We kind of talked about this. We're going to take a few more minutes here and look a little more deeper. So we've got everybody getting in on rain and thunderstorm activity tomorrow evening into Friday. But along and south of I-44, that's a little too much rain in too little time. And we need the rain. I'm well aware of that. We're all aware that we still need more rain to make up for last year's drought. But we don't want to get too much in too short a time, and that's what's going to happen tomorrow evening into Friday morning. So if you live in those flood-prone areas or your commute takes you through those areas, make sure you plan accordingly. We also have this dark green area is a possibility along and south of I-44 of a stray strong storm or two. We're not anticipating really any severe weather, but some of the stronger storms could possibly produce some small hail and gusty winds. So we'll keep an eye on that for you. As we go through today, we remain cloudy. We're mild. We're not nearly as warm as we were yesterday, but still not bad for this time of years. We're now on the first day of March. Can you believe that? The meteorological spring starts today. Late in the morning tomorrow and into the early afternoon, a few stray showers, maybe a rumble of thunder possible across the area, but by 4 or 5 o'clock, the main event gets going. Heavier rain and thunderstorms along and south of I-44, but rain overspreading the entire area. It continues as we go into the evening. A brief break about midnight Friday, and then more showers, thunderstorms, heavy rain, and maybe even some light snow as we head into Friday morning. MoDOT camera, 20th and range line looks good. Let's get straight into what we're expecting for today. We're going to look at highs in the lower to mid 60s, mostly cloudy skies, breezy this morning, calm winds this afternoon. And as we head into this evening, mostly cloudy, dropping back down to a low of 44 degrees. And a quick check of our 7-day. Any snow that we do get Friday isn't going to last very long. We stay mild through the rest of the week, into the weekend, and even into next week with some additional shower chances Monday and Tuesday. We're back with more right after this.
Welcome back. It's time for another Wildcat Wednesday, and we've got Adavan Sronson here from the K-State Extension Service here to tell us everything you need to know about sheep and goats.
Yes, thanks for having me. I wanted to talk a little bit this morning about the sheep and goat marketing workshop that we have tomorrow evening at the K-State Southeast Research Center in Parsons, that people still have the ability to register for if they wish to attend by calling our Independence office. This is going to be a really great workshop that covers a lot of information about goat and sheep marketing.
It seems like there are more and more families and people like choosing to raise goats and sheep, and maybe it's a cost. Like it's because they're cheaper to get into, or they don't eat as much as like cattle?
Yeah, definitely. They've become increasingly popular over the last several years, and part of it is they are a little bit cheaper to get into than raising cattle. Of course, they don't eat as much as cattle do. And because they aren't as big, you don't need as many acres to have a small herd of sheep or goats.
What are some of the highlights of the event tomorrow night, the class?
So one of the highlights will be we'll have JJ Jones. He's an ag economist with Oklahoma State University, and he'll be joining us to give a market outlook for goats and sheep to help give a producers an ideal of when may be the best time to sell their lambs and kids this year. And then also he's going to give a presentation on developing a marketing plan for sheep and goats. For quite a few years now, he's given a market outlook every year and has worked with producers to help them plan out when they want to have those lambs and kids ready to sell throughout the year.
And just to clarify, if you guys aren't aware, baby sheep are called lambs and baby goats are called kids. We're not really talking about selling your kids.
Yes, thank you for clarifying that.
I knew it, but you know.
Yes.
All right, well, yeah, it's important to know, like, if you're going to get into it, like, what time of year, like, should be selling in the fall, the spring, or
Right, and it can be a little bit harder to figure out with goats and lambs because a large part of those market prices for them is influenced by the holiday calendar, such as Easter and other ethnic holidays as well.
Oh, that's interesting as well. So if you're thinking about getting into a project with your kids or something and you want to, like, raise sheep or goats as like a 4-H project or just a family project, this would be beneficial if you're just going to raise one or two or a whole herd.
Yes, definitely. They're a great 4-H project, and of course a lot of 4-Hers will sell a market goat or a lamb at the county fair, but if they want to do a breeding project, this would be some great information to help them have a successful project and plan out their project for the year.
All right, and again, where do you go to register if you still want to get in on this?
If you still want to register, they can call our Independence office. That number is 620-331-2690.
Okay, and we'll of course have that on our website this morning where you can watch this interview again. All right, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
We'll be right back.
Really good.
Well, Black History Month might be winding down, but a Las Vegas woman's work to embrace diversity continues.
She owns a salon that specializes in helping black women understand the beauty of their natural hair. Trisha Keene has more.
I was uneducated of how to treat it, how to take care of it, how to maintain it.
We spoke with Valley residents who say they truly hated their hair growing up.
So I've always either covered it up with weaves or chemicals to straighten it out and never actually wore the true culture of my hair.
My mom did what was typical back then, which was just to immediately put like a relaxer in our hairs when we were younger.
At times, these locals say dealing with their hair was simply painful.
Just sitting there with processed chemicals in your hair, hot combs, it was traumatic.
It was just what the beauty standard was at that time, was to straighten your hair, and I would wear weaves and extensions and all of that, and I really didn't embrace my natural hair.
Danielle Green says she's watched thousands suffer over the years.
Especially after witnessing so many black women in my mother's salon doing the same thing. We relaxed our hair and we used other chemicals, and then it caused hair loss. And so then we had to buy extensions and weaves to fill our hair back in.
For so many African Americans, their painful hair regimen is part of an effort to fit into what's deemed socially acceptable. Studies show racial discrimination based on hairstyles can start as early as 5 years old. But the KOAM Act, which stands for Creating a Respectful and Open World for Natural Hair, is a law in 20 states, including Nevada, that prohibits race-based hair discrimination.
We support the KOAM Act 1,000%.
As owner of Radically Curly Hair Salon on Arroyo Grande and Warm Springs in Henderson, Danielle sees herself as a warrior against hair discrimination.
We're a part of that healing process because there's a lot of trauma with all of the negative language about your hair type. It causes pain, it causes trauma, it causes you to look at yourself in a negative light, and that's not healthy.
Danielle has made it her life's work to learn proper hair care for African Americans and take time to pass that knowledge on.
When they come here, we really cater to everyone's individual hair because everyone has different hair.
Danielle says she and her stylist make it their mission to support each client in their journey to understanding their natural hair.
To change lives, to help people to embrace who they are and not be afraid to rock their crown in its natural state.
Clients we spoke with say learning to wear their hair naturally has been a life-changing experience.
It's very freeing is the word I would use. And it helps when you come to a place like this.
Now I know that me being a black woman, that I can actually wear my hair and feel comfortable in my skin makes me feel really good about myself.
Well, the KOAM Act protects against bias based on hair texture.
All right. It can also ensure people can wear styles like locks, cornrows, twists, braids, bantu knots, and afros without facing discrimination.
Certainly important to keep in mind there.
All right.
We'll be right back after this.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:27. Kansas Governor Laura Kelly announces a local maintenance and rehabilitation project is receiving funds as part of KDOT's Short Line Rail Improvement Fund program. One of the 6 organizations receiving grant funds is Scholar Grain of Pittsburgh. Officials say Scholar will receive more than $500,000 for siding extensions. And according to the UMKC today, the $10 million federal grant was awarded to the School of Science and Engineering to develop innovative approaches to improve the sustainability and equity of transportation structure. University was among 20 selected from 169 universities to lead Tier 1 university transportation centers for underserved and disadvantaged populations. It was the only university selected from Missouri. The grant will provide $2 million annually for 5 years. As spring approaches, the Joplin School District wants to remind area residents that community safe rooms will be open at several locations. It's in case of tornado warnings or when tornado sirens are activated. If warnings or sirens happen during school hours, students and staff will receive priority for safe room occupancy.
We're treating it as it's no different than if a school, if there's a tornado warning that happens during the weekend, we would still open up the safe rooms across the district. So we're treating West Central the exact same way.
The district says while all school buildings in the district include safe room locations for students and staff, not all school buildings include community safe rooms. To find a full list of community safe rooms, you can download the KOAM News Now app. Pittsburgh State University's Multicultural Department of Student Government is hosting the first faculty diversity panel to let professors share their experiences on adjusting to a new culture.
Diversity is a strength anywhere. If we have diverse faculty, the students can see somebody who is successful or one who looks like them.
PSU is holding other events highlighting diversity throughout the week.
Well, as we go through our day, we're going to be warm again, but not as warm as yesterday. We should start to see wind gusts picking up through the morning, about 20, 30 miles an hour, and we'll make it up to the upper 50s by late morning. We're going to be mostly cloudy throughout the day, highs pushing into the lower to mid 60s across the region, and those gusty winds won't last for long. They'll start to calm down this afternoon, and then they'll start to pick up again late tonight into the overnight hours. We'll eventually make it back down to 44 under those mostly cloudy skies. Now looking ahead, we have alert days Thursday and Friday. We're talking thunderstorms. The alert days are for the heavy rain and flooding potential out there, especially along and south of I-44, so do be cautious. And we could see some light snow Friday morning, but as you can see, our temperatures remain quite mild over the next several days, so whatever snow we might see Friday isn't going to add up to much, and anything that does stick is going to melt pretty quickly. We remain mild, a very nice Sunday for us, mid-60s and sunny. Showers possible Monday and Tuesday with 70 and 60-degree temperatures. So not a bad several days shaping up. We just got to get through tomorrow and Friday, and we'll keep track of that storm system for you. Tanya?
All right, thanks, Chris. The 9 justices on the U.S. Supreme Court are considering arguments they heard about President Biden's plan to wipe out hundreds of billions of dollars in student loan debt. Shannon Bream has the story.
We deal with congressional statutes every day that are really confusing. This one is not.
But that is the heart of the debate. Whether or not the HEROES Act, passed in 2003 to ease student loan payment obligations on those deployed in the wake of 9/11, gives the Biden administration authority not only to pause student loan payments, as was initially done under the Trump administration, but to also wipe out roughly $400 billion in principal, all with the stroke of a pen.
I think most casual observers would say if you're going to give up that much amount of money, if you're going to affect the obligations of that many Americans on a subject that's of great controversy, they would think that's something for Congress to act on.
The Biden administration argues Congress did act, that the law in question provided the pathway for Education Secretary Miguel Cardona to step in the face of the COVID emergency. Justice Kagan seems to agree.
We worry about executive power when Congress hasn't authorized the use of executive power. Here, Congress has authorized the use of executive power in an emergency situation. We're in that sphere where the executive is acting with congressional authorization.
Well, unfortunately, for all parties interested in a ruling, it probably won't happen until the end of the court's current term, typically at the end of June or early July. And that's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. Neither snow, nor rain, nor heat, nor gloom of the night will keep the United States Postal Service from upgrading its fleet to electric vehicle.
And we've got another spring-like day for us today on the meteorological start of spring, but heavy rain and thunderstorms are on the way. We'll break it all down coming up. Well, Black History Month may be coming to a close, but the push to preserve, protect, and promote the contributions of African Americans to the country is far from over. Chris Nguyen explains one piece of federal legislation that aims to make Black history more accessible across the U.S.
For many Americans, a trip to the nation's capital isn't complete without a visit here.
I would say a tribute to my ancestors.
According to the Smithsonian, the National Museum of African American History and Culture is a place where everyone can learn about the richness of the African American experience, what it means to their lives, and how it helped shape this nation.
It's giving them their honor and their just due for the sacrifices they made for me to be able to do the things that I can do today.
Federal legislation recently introduced during Black History Month aims to make the museum's offerings more accessible, especially at a time when some people believe the teaching of America's past is under attack.
American history is more than just surface, rah-rah, we're amazing.
it's about the struggles. It's about the things that we have overcome.
The African American History Act would invest $10 million over 5 years into the museum to help expand and support educational programs, including new digital content that would be made available to students, parents, and teachers on a voluntary basis.
We know from research that these kinds of discussions help children with critical thinking, and so we're really denying children an important aspect of their education when we don't allow them to hear some of these more difficult topics in an age-appropriate way and to be able to work through those in a safe, inclusive environment.
With Congress narrowly divided, some say the bill's passage is anything but certain, but supporters say they'll continue to keep the faith.
Shine a nice light on what's happened in the past and, offer hope and optimism for the future.
The push to tell America's full story, always a work in progress. In Washington, I'm Chris Wynn.
And we've got ourselves a nice spring-like day for us, but we're tracking heavy rain and thunderstorms heading into tomorrow. We'll take a complete look at that when the KOAM Morning News returns. All right, we've got alert days for us as we head into tomorrow and Friday with heavy rain and flood watches that kick into effect tomorrow evening. Here's those flood watches. As you can see, Barry, McDonald, Benton, Delaware counties kicking in tomorrow evening, running through noon on Friday. And here's why. Take a look at all this rainfall we're going to expect. All of us getting in on shower and thunderstorm activity. Heaviest rain along and south of I-44. We're talking totals 2 to 3 inches. On top of that, we are watching the possibility of a stray strong storm or two tomorrow in the dark green zone, as you can see, along and south of I-44. Not anticipating widespread severe weather, but a couple of the stronger storms may produce some small hail and gusty winds. So as we head through the rest of today, we're going to be cloudy. We're cooler than yesterday, but we're still quite mild. As we head into the late morning and early afternoon tomorrow, we could see a few stray showers, maybe a rumble of thunder try and roll through the area, but by about 4 or 5 o'clock, the main event gets going, and you can see where the heavier showers and thunderstorms are going to be, and that's why we have those flood watches. They continue as we roll through the evening hours. We get a brief break, say around midnight, 1 a.m., before another round of heavy rain and thunderstorms starts to roll through the area, and there's still the possibility of some light snow on the backside of this about mid-morning tomorrow. We're not anticipating much in the way of accumulations, but could still lead to a few slick spots on area roadways. MoDOT camera, 20th and Range Line. We're looking good so far. Traffic moving right along. 7th and Range Line, you can see we've got those mostly cloudy skies out there. 49, feels like 47 in Joplin with a west breeze at 6. Temperatures across the region, well, they look like this. 43 in Iola, 48 Chanute, 46 Chatopa, 50 Miami, 54 in Anderson, 49 Carthage, and 48 in Lamar. As we get our day started, we're expecting to see winds start gusting about 20-30 miles an hour through the morning. We'll also remain mostly cloudy, temperatures into the upper 50s. And as we head into the afternoon, those winds will calm back down, and we're looking at highs in the low to mid 60s under those mostly cloudy skies. We head into this evening, we are looking at 44 for the overnight low, but otherwise not bad. And then late tonight and into the overnight hours, the winds will begin to pick up again. All right, we've talked about our alert days, Thursday, Friday. If you live in flood-prone areas, or your commute takes you through them, make sure you plan accordingly Thursday into Friday. As you can see, look at Friday's expected high right around 51. Anything we see winter-wise is not going to last long. Holding on to mild temperatures, got a gorgeous Sunday for us, maybe some showers Saturday. More showers possible Monday and Tuesday, but those temperatures stay very spring-like. That's a check of your forecast. Now here's Tanya Bach with a check of Consumer Watch.
All right, well, Kansas City's new international airport is now open. The first flight took off this morning. The $1.5 billion project took 4 years to complete, and the airport is now the largest all-glass airport in the U.S., coming in at 1.1 million square feet. Now, the structure has just one terminal and 2 levels. Departures are on the second floor, arrivals on the first. Nearly 50 eateries, bars, and stores are inside, including 20 local businesses. How exciting. Well, U.S. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg visited the airport yesterday to see the new terminal. He was joined by various state leaders and also visited UMKC to highlight a recent University Transportation Center grant. Well, new numbers are out, and they show home prices in the U.S. continue to fall. The latest S&P CoreLogic Case-Shiller U.S. National Home Price Index was released on Tuesday. The index showed housing prices fell in December for the 6th month in a row. The national composite declined by 0.8%, with all the cities in the 20-city index reporting declines. Still, if you compare December's numbers to the same month in 2021, U.S. home prices actually nudged higher, but the pace of that growth has slowed compared to prior months. And the United States Postal Service says it's revving up its plans to modernize the nation's largest federal fleet of vehicles. Tuesday, the USPS announced it has awarded new contracts to Ford to buy more than 9,200 commercial electric vehicles. Postal Service says the left-hand drive vehicles will fill an urgent need and will be the first stage of an initiative to eventually replace all of its gas-powered vehicles with electric. The USPS has allotted more than $9.5 billion to upgrade its fleet. The money will also be used to purchase 14,000 new EV charging stations. It says those stations will be installed at least 75 facilities across the country within the next year. Well, lost your credit or debit card recently? A replacement may take longer than you remember. The pandemic-era chip shortage is hitting some consumers right in the wallet, especially when dealing with smaller credit unions and banks, and as more U.S. cards include chips. Karen Kaifa breaks down the delays and how to work around them.
Hold on to your credit card. The global semiconductor shortage could make it more challenging to get a replacement as more cards include chips and industries like auto and tech compete for tight supply.
Credit cards are further down the list, and furthermore, smaller credit card issuers are even further down the list. So that's where we're hearing about the longest delays, credit unions and community banks.
The semiconductor shortage that started in 2020 has been exacerbated by increased demand and Russia's invasion of Ukraine, which reduced the country's output of neon, a key element in making chips.
We're facing a shortage of neon, which means that the manufacturing of chips is far more difficult.
Last summer, the Smart Payment Association, a global industry group for cards and mobile payments, warned of a continued impact throughout 2023. And in recent weeks and months, some credit unions and smaller banks have advised consumers the standard time to replace a card has stretched. Ted Rossman of Bankrate says this could be a time for consumers to take advantage of more contactless options implemented more widely during the pandemic.
The pandemic did really juice adoption of things like Apple Pay and Google Pay. They've been around for almost a decade, but a lot of people became more comfortable transacting that way when they were afraid to touch physical payment terminals.
A smartphone's mobile wallet also allows a consumer to keep a card at home for safekeeping amid the current crunch. In Washington, I'm Karen Kaifa.
We'll be right back with more after this, but first let's take a look at the market prices before the opening bell. Well, there's a new device for sale that lets you send and receive lifelike kisses through your smartphone.
Jeannie Moose reports these lips have tongues wagging.
Nobody is kissing the in-person kiss goodbye.
Nobody ever kissed me the way you do.
But chances are nobody has ever kissed you this way through a lip-shaped device that plugs into your phone. The idea is to send someone a kiss long distance. Sensors transmit pressure, movement, and temperature data that's received by another pair of lips, so your kiss is replicated on their lips. Who says?
A kiss is just a kiss.
Similar tech for remote kissing first surfaced less than a decade ago with the Kissinger. Not that Kissinger. A kiss sent via messenger was dubbed the Kissinger. Robotics lecturer Human Samani worked on that project, and he thinks there's an issue with the latest device being sold for about $40 in China. It's the lifelike lips.
You think it makes it too creepy?
Yes.
As one poster put it, weirdo. It's called the uncanny valley effect. Research shows attraction to robotics plunges when things seem almost human.
So my opinion is we shouldn't have real lip.
Many cited the Big Bang Theory episode.
See? Internet kissing.
That seemed ahead of its time.
Like this? Close. Really French it.
No wonder some think something is missing on the latest gizmo. Where's the tongue?
I'm impressed. This is very lifelike. Well, you just bit my tongue. Oh, I was being playful.
But can a pulsating e-kiss carry the electric charge of, say, Rhett Butler, though a remote kiss would have saved him from Scarlett's wrath?
You low-down, cardly, nasty thing, you!
Jeannie Mose, CNN, New York.
I am not so sure how I feel about that thing. It's a little... Hey, it's going to rain. And we're honestly...
Oh my goodness.
What in the world
They made
is
this.
that thing?
I remember that episode from The Big Bang Theory. It was so funny, but...
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
The world that we live in, Tanya, I tell you, technology is advancing faster than our minds can keep up, and this is what happens.
That takes phone to a whole new level.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Hey, how about some weather? How do you feel about that? I think it's a great idea. You guys at home think that's a great idea? Because that story, we need something to kind of clear our... I certainly don't think so, but it is going to be raining. In all seriousness, though, we do have alert days for Thursday, Friday. We got thunderstorms, heavy rain, and flood watches south of I-44 kicking in tomorrow evening, running through noon on Friday, because we're going to see a lot of rain. All of us getting in showers, thunderstorms, heaviest rain along and south of I-44 in that 2 to 3 inch range, and that is just too much rain in too short a time. This is a very isolated risk of a rumble of thunder, but we're really not going to see much. It's tomorrow. We do have in this dark green area the threat for some stronger storms, maybe 1 or 2 out there. If we do see any stronger storms, some small hail, gusty winds are the primary risk, but we're not anticipating any severe weather at this time. We go through the rest of today. We remain cloudy and mild, not as warm as yesterday, but not bad. And as we go into late morning tomorrow and early afternoon, we could see a stray shower or thunderstorm, but by about 4 or 5 o'clock, the big event gets going. Showers, thunderstorms, heavy rain out there, moving across the area, continues through the evening. There's a brief lull in activity by about midnight, 1 a.m. before another round of showers, thunderstorms, heavy rain rolls in. And we're still looking at the possibility of some light snow on the backside of this. That shouldn't add up to much, but it is a possibility. Let's take a quick look at our 7-day forecast. We're going to make it up to about 64 today, mostly cloudy, 66 tomorrow, 51 Friday, mild all the way through Tuesday of next week with some showers possible Saturday, Monday, and Tuesday. We'll be back with more right after this.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Following a historic blizzard in the mountains of northeast of Los Angeles, there's now concern that the melting snowpack and heavy rains may trigger dangerous mudslides. San Bernardino County is under a state of emergency as residents up in the mountains are trapped in their homes. In Northern California, Sierra Nevada, major highways are shut down with a blizzard warning in effect. And the jury in Alex Murdaugh's double murder trial will visit his estate today to see where Murdaugh's wife and son were shot to death in 2021. Prosecution and defense rested yesterday. They will deliver closing arguments following the trip. A sale of the property is expected to close next week for about $4 million. And a new House committee focused on China held its first hearing Tuesday night. Republican Chairman Mike Gallagher hopes the panel can allow Congress to speak with one voice as it looks to tackle the aggression by the Chinese Communist Party. Gallagher hopes to bring the committee members to Taiwan at some point.
We've got ourselves a spring-like day, gusty winds this morning, then calming down this afternoon. Highs in the the lower to mid 60s rather, will be mostly cloudy. Mostly cloudy this evening, dropping back down to 44 for our low. We have alert days Thursday and Friday for thunderstorms. The big concern here is heavy rain and flooding concerns, so we need to be on top of this as we head into tomorrow and Friday morning. Maybe some light snow Friday morning, showers possible Saturday, nice day Sunday, more showers Monday and Tuesday, but we keep with the spring-like temperatures.
Well, Dictionary.com says it has updated its site with 313 new entries and some revised or added definitions to existing entries.
Now, many of the new words and terms have to do with the internet. One example is rage farming, which means intentionally trying to provoke a political opponent online.
I would have thought rage farming is when you're trying to plow your field, you're just upset, you're an angry farmer, and you're going too fast and not really doing a good job.
I would have associated rage farming with the animal game, Animal Crossing, or where you can play. Never mind. Anyway, carry on.
Other notable entries have LGBTQ connections like queer baiting and pink washing. Senior director at dictionary.com says many of the new words have been around for some time.
He says the website is including them now because they've reached mainstream popularity.
Apparently, I am not mainstream.
Neither am I. But here's the deal, Tanya. We've just become so experienced and so wise as we've gotten older that we don't need to be mainstream anymore. We are unique. We are us.
We'll stick with the old English.
I think I'm going to revert back to we're talking 1600s old English.
Ooh. Okay.
Well, thank thee for allowing us to put thy good into thy morning. We will be back with more news and weather at noon.
Have thyself a great morning and an even better day.